Democrats running for Senate in Georgia had a very simple campaign message: vote for us and you will get $2,000 checks. But as David Sirota reports over at the Daily Poster, immediate aid has now become a moving target as the Biden administration pivoted from sending out checks immediately to, we'll get to them at some point.
So joining us now to discuss, Daily Poster founder, editor-at-large of Jacobin, David Sirota. David, lay out what the hell is going on here with these $2,000 checks. And this is a key point I keep trying to make. Aren't they going to suffer a political consequence for not delivering? People are not going to forget why they voted for those Democrats in Georgia.
Well, what's been going on is, as you alluded to, the Joe Biden promised very explicitly that these checks would be immediately forthcoming. That word "immediate" is his word, right? He said that right before the election, January 4th. Vote for these candidates, essentially elect a Democratic Senate, and these checks, they've been blocked. They will be immediately sent out. So it is obviously, I guess it depends on your definition of immediately, but there hasn't been any real legislative movement on that, but there has been rhetorical movement on that. We are now seeing that the Democrats are saying maybe this won't even be brought up in the House or the Senate until March. Joe Biden himself has said he's open to further means testing the idea. Now, there was some ambiguity about when he said $2,000 checks. Did that mean a new full $2,000 check, or did that mean $1,400 because there already was a $600 check passed? And, what I said about that was that, look, there was some ambiguity there, and Biden chose to use the ambiguity not to push for full $2,000 checks, new full $2,000 checks, but instead to use the ambiguity only to push for $1,400. You can defend that. You can say, hey, that wasn't technically a lie. You can word parse it. You can look at Joe Biden saying, I want to attract Republican support by saying maybe we'll means test this further, so it'll be only available to people at a lower income threshold. All of those defenses, you can have the fanciest charts. But to your point, Sagar, the political question is, you made a promise. It was a kind of read my lips style promise from the old George Bush in 1988. And you're not delivering on your promise. And if you do that, you should expect to face political consequences.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think first of all, they can get this through budget reconciliation if they want to. But even, if they put just the $2,000 checks on the floor of the Senate and Republicans were the ones that ultimately shot it down, they would still get a lot of credit for, they went out and fought for it.
Yes.
And these are the guys who are standing in the way ultimately. But I want you to dig in more on this means testing thing, because we're hearing this more and more from a lot of, right-wing Democrats and certainly a lot of Republicans, and the think tanks are getting in on it too, of while these checks need to be more targeted, what that means is they go to fewer people and have less benefit ultimately. Why are they open to all these negotiations, and why does it matter that the checks go out to a broader range of people?
Well, the argument is that you want to get the money for stimulative effect, macroeconomic stimulative effect, to lower income people because they'll spend it the fastest. And that's indisputable, that's an economic fact. But there's two problems with the idea of using that fact to further means test and reduce the number of people that these checks get to. The first reason that's a problem is because lots of people are struggling, even momentarily, who maybe last year or had reported higher income. Obviously, we've gone through something where the economy itself is tanking. So there are a lot of more people who are struggling right now, people who, and elderly people who are not in the job market. That's what these checks at the broadest possible range are designed. Those are the people that these checks are designed to help. The second point is a deeper political point, which is the Democratic Party in the modern era has become known as the party that is constantly means testing its programs, making them more complicated, harder to know who qualifies, who's eligible, to the point where it's hard to know if, depending on the program, whether you're eligible for the Democratic Party's agenda. And a universal program, or at least a more universal program, is designed to create a politics of inclusion where everybody feels like they have some skin in the game. And I don't think it's a coincidence that some of the most popular programs that the Democrats have been known for in history are exactly those kinds of universal programs. Social Security, Medicare, public schools, those are available to billionaires. They're available to to people who are poor. They're available to everyone. And there's a kind of consensus politics around them because they are universal. And the modern era Democratic Party has somehow forgotten the lesson of the power of universalism.
Yeah. And this is the thing I don't understand either, really, whenever it comes down to the debate, which is that, I mean, look, we're 10 days now, I think, 10 days now into the Biden presidency, and there has not been realistic, any advancement in terms of legislation. We don't even yet have a firm commitment to budget reconciliation. I don't know. I mean, negotiations on major bills I saw happen with COVID relief back in March. What was it, a week that the entire thing came together? So what is taking so long? That's what I don't understand.
Well, that's a fair question. And I would say that what the Democrats are exuding here is a lack of urgency, right? There is an urgent situation unfolding, an urgent emergency unfolding, and that we are in the middle of. And when the Democrats are saying, we're not really talking about it very much, and $1,400, and maybe it'll be even further means tested, and it'll be we'll get to it some point, maybe in March. We're not actually going to bring it to the floor and force votes right now. It just sends the message that they're not taking this crisis seriously. They don't believe it's a time-sensitive crisis. And again, to go back to what we talked about at the beginning, if you behave like that, if you make a promise and you don't deliver, if you don't look like you're acting with urgency, then you should expect to pay a political price.
Yeah. I mean, putting the merits of it aside, and I think the merits are the most important thing, but this is such an easy political win for them. 80% public support, Republicans on the wrong side of the issue, and they just somehow managed to bungle it all. David, thank you so much for your important reporting on this. We appreciate it.
Thanks, David.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We'll have more Rising for you after this.